Many folks will be honoring her memory, leaving flowers and candles. And tonight, community members are invited to gather in Marshall Park to honor her life. That visual starts at 6:30.
Charlie Kirk's assassination is sparking many controversial posts online. We're learning that some people are losing their jobs because of it, including a Carolina Panthers staff member. Someone briefed on that situation tells us the employee was a football communications coordinator and is no longer with the team. Meanwhile, a Lake Norman charter employee is on administrative leave after posting a, quote, hateful and highly offensive statement about Kirk's death. That's according to the school.
Community in Hickory on edge this morning after a threat against a school. Police say a juvenile was identified as the suspect. Staff contacted them after a threat started circulating on social media. Although authorities say there was no ongoing danger, mental health advocates say the damage from a threat like this goes beyond security.
This morning, we're starting to see heavy traffic on I-77, especially northbound, as well as I-85 northbound. And we're starting to see our first few accidents of the morning. One of those is at Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street.
And it's the tale of two forecasts. Check this out. So we have sunnier skies heading through the weekend, but then all of a sudden we cloud things up and notice those percentages return on Tuesday and they don't turn off. So there might be just a chance for a pop-up shower or a thunderstorm, but it's also starting to feel a lot more humid by the middle of next week. So really enjoy the next few days. They're certainly going to be the best. So let the good times roll.
Let the good times roll. A reminder, folks, the news does not end here. Coming up at 7 over on WCNC Plus, water bills in Caldwell County may look a little off. How tech issues played a role in that. Plus, App State bouncing back nearly a year after Hurricane Helene, how the campus overcame some setbacks, and how students and staff at Payson Elementary are remembering a beloved teacher. Join us on WCNC Plus at 7. Have a great day.
Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 7. I'm Megan Bragg, in for Ben.
And I'm Lisa Washington, taking a live look right now over Lake Norman. You can see just a beautiful sky there, the look at the lake, the boats park. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful if you're going to be going out on the lake this weekend or anything else. Chris has a look at the WCNC weather impact forecast for the weekend.
And it's a good one, 61 degrees. It's almost like our temperatures quit reading over the last few hours because we've officially been at 61 degrees for 4 hours now. Boone 45, not complaining whatsoever. Gorgeous start to the day. Control C, Control V. We're talking about a copy and paste forecast. Yesterday 84, today 83, and anywhere from a mostly sunny to a partly cloudy sky at times. But other than that, you are looking at a sunny to a mostly sunny one for most hours of the day. 83, that is our high, as I just mentioned. We have a gentle breeze, really a picture-perfect Friday. Fantastic one. I might even embrace that alliteration. Fantastic Friday on the way, and that will eventually lead to a spectacular, splendid Saturday. Our dew points right below that muggy line as well. That humid air isn't really arriving until later on in the forecast, where over the next 7 days, it feels fairly comfortable through the weekend, heading into Monday, and then right on up to the mid-60s. That's where we're really starting to feel the moisture in the air, and it's going to support some upped rain chances as well. So similar lows over the next couple of mornings. We have 59, so a slightly cooler start tomorrow, and that's also going to allow us to be slightly cooler for our high. 58 on a Sunday, and then right back up to the lower to the mid-60s through next week. So not really a big change for our lows. Hour by hour through tomorrow, look at this. We got sunshine through your Saturday, and it's mainly going to be in the lower 80s, right to around 82 degrees, and those winds fairly light yet again, gentle range 7 to 12 miles per hour. And that's literally, according to the Beaufort wind scale, 7 to 12 is known as a gentle breeze. Now, our weekend forecast beyond Saturday, we pick up a few clouds on Sunday. We have the mid-80s, and then we have the winds of change starting to blow in, but not for the Charlotte FC match at 7:30. That should be picture perfect. Light winds, mostly clear, starting at 80, ending in the mid-70s. It doesn't get much better for a September soccer game. Now, our rain chances really ramp up on Tuesday. Technically Monday night, but I think it's more so on Tuesday morning, and then we have isolated potential after that. Here's the reason why, and our models are split. Some are showing, hey, it's just going to be a little bit cloudier, while others are starting to see a consensus that something's going to develop right off the Carolina shoreline and start to work its way in. We don't have the right environment for this to sit long enough to turn into a tropical system, but still a coastal low can bring widespread rain, some flooding rains as well. That's the big change that we're looking at. So I just want everyone to kind of temper expectations for their Tuesday. Really, one of two scenarios is going to go down. Either this low is going to move its way to the north, giving us a decent amount of rain for your Tuesday heading into Wednesday, might even sit for a couple of days, keeping some clouds around and making it cooler, or it's going to glide more along the shoreline, keeping us a little bit drier here in the Charlotte area. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. Also, we're really starting to turn things over to a more favorable tropical environment. So this little wave that's off of Africa is going to continue to push its way off towards the west-northwest over the next 7 days. I think by the end of the weekend to start next week, we're talking this becoming either a tropical depression or tropical storm Gabrielle. That's the next one that's on the list. And after that, we have Umberto. But if we look closely at our futurecast, you can see this little wave following right here. Nothing that's really too set in stone. Should be right here by about next Thursday. But then after that, things are really trending to curve back out to sea. So I'm liking where this is trending overall for the long range. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has the lower 80s for the most part today and tomorrow. More clouds technically to end the day on Sunday, in the mid-80s for your Sunday and Monday. That's also another change because the additional cloud cover, instead of the upper 80s Monday, it's the mid-80s, and then the lower 80s a little bit cooler with that still question mark what that rain system is going to do on Tuesday and Wednesday. Mid to the upper 80s beyond that on Thursday and Friday. That's all you need to know. Let's get over to traffic for everything you need to know to start off with your morning commute.
Yeah, you definitely picked a great time to tune in for the traffic report on WCNC Plus because traffic just got activated. It was very slow this morning, but now things are happening with more people on the roads. It's peak commute time as well. This is I-77 at Nations Ford Road. I-77 northbound is particularly busy this time of the morning, so just a heads up if you're coming from South Carolina or South Charlotte this morning. I do want to show one big accident going on this morning. This is near East Meck High School, outbound on Monroe Road before Conference Drive. 2 lanes are blocked there. So just a heads up, that's a pretty nasty crash with emergency crews on scene. Here's where we're looking at Mountain Road South at Conference Drive. So just a heads up there if you are in this part of Charlotte. We also have a crash at Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street. That's very close to I-77, just east of I-77. And then we also have a disabled vehicle with the lane blocked north of Uptown there, North Graham Street at Atondo Avenue. So it's just gotten really busy out there this morning. Here's a wide view, but things took a while to get busy. Thankfully, we haven't had any official big interstate crashes. Of course, we'll keep an eye on that. Here are your AM drive times into the Charlotte area.
Well, Republican leaders at North Carolina's Capitol announcing new legislation in response to Irina Zaruska's murder. They plan to unveil the bill later this month, potentially including restarting death penalties. So we're going to get to Richard Devane later on the show. He's going to talk about that bill and what that would include.
I think we have Richard now. So good morning, Richard.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Basically, what that would include, they say, is a number of key factors, including limiting the required qualifications for those folks who are magistrates, as well as cashless bail. Now, all of this was discussed yesterday, those Republican leaders at their North Carolina General Assembly meeting. They responded to the fatal stabbing of 23-year-old Irina Zaruska on Charlotte's light rail system by proposing new legislation. During that news conference, Senate Leader Phil Berger and House Speaker Destin Hall announced their plans to introduce a package later this month, which they say would address what they called soft on crime policies and focus on the state's justice system. The leaders specifically cited Teresa Stokes. That's the magistrate who released Carlos Brown, who now faces state and federal charges in the murder of Irina Zaruska. They're considering new guidelines, requirements for magistrates, including potentially require them to have law degrees. Among the other proposals is discussed were ending cashless bail, as I said, and also restarting the death penalty here in the state of North Carolina. They also want to take a closer look at Charlotte's spending, its grant funding related to crime prevention.
We're going to go through the entire budget for the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County to see where these funds are going, because ultimately we're dealing with a local government, really Mecklenburg County and City of Charlotte, 2 local governments that, in my opinion, have lost institutional control of their areas.
You know, families are hurting right now because of this series of attacks. And as we speak these hard truths, we must be clear about the cause, the rhetoric and soft on crime policies of the left.
And they said that they've also spoken to Governor Stein. They plan to have this legislative package, this bill package before the legislature, they say in the General Assembly when they meet sometime next month. We'll keep you posted. We're right here at the East-West Light Rail Station. This is Richard Devane. Send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. And I do want to just make a note here because it is pretty confusing, but I was able to talk to a lawyer earlier this month, and we talked kind of about the bail system in North Carolina. And there's a lot of caveats that do go into that. So it's not technically cashless bail. We do have a bail bond system in place. There is just one option in there that allows for nonviolent crimes to get out on a written promise. So, but the other options in there is money beforehand, money after, or being placed in custody with someone else, or electronic monitoring. So there are a lot of options in this bail system. I know that they do really want to look at that system and maybe get rid of that written appearance option, but something to think about, because we do have a bail system in place where you do have to pay money. It just depends on the charge.
Correct. And I think in this case, the concern, or why we're hearing so much about this now, is that he had a number of offenses beforehand that perhaps were not reviewed when it was determined that he would have the promise to return.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Megan, and to Richard, of course.
And the outpouring of support continues for Irina Zaruska this morning. A memorial growing near that platform where Richard was. You could see where she had lost her life in that deadly stabbing. And many folks are honoring her memory, leaving those flowers and candles. And one note left reads, "We failed you. Rest in peace." Many officials are sharing that same message, saying that more needs to be done in the wake of the tragedy to prevent another one from happening. Tonight, community members are welcome to gather at Marshall Park to honor Zaruska's life. The visual, organized by multiple different community action groups, starts at 6:30.
Well, coming up right here on WCNC Plus, the latest on a possible suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk.
Well, this morning, the manhunt continues for the suspect who shot conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI did release this video showing him jumping off a roof right there. You can see that he does get off that roof at that campus in Utah. You can see right there that he runs across the campus afterwards. Authorities say this is the person they're looking for. You can see he was wearing shades with a ball cap, dressed in black, wearing a shirt with an American flag on it. NBC's Bofta Yaman has the latest details from Washington.
Wearing sunglasses, a black hat, and a black shirt with an American flag is the man police want your help tracking down in connection with the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. This new video helping to piece together more clues and how the shooter maneuvered.
We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location.
Authorities say he fired a single shot from a rooftop before vanishing among this large crowd that came to hear Kirk speak.
Everyone was just screaming. There were a lot of cursing and everyone was just panicking. It was honestly the worst sounds I've ever heard in my entire life.
Authorities say the gun, a high-powered bolt-action voltage, later located in a nearby wooded area, is being analyzed in a federal lab, along with other possible imprints the shooter left behind.
He's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA.
7,000 tips and leads have poured in, and authorities encourage even more today. Meanwhile, as they prepare a case to pursue the death penalty.
I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
Kirk's fans and family continue to mourn his death. Now, the FBI says it hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. There is a $100,000 reward right now for information leading to an ID and arrest. Authorities are asking for anyone around the country with information to send tips to 1-800-CALL-FBI. In Washington, Bofta Imam, NBC News.
7:15 now. New details reveal the 16-year-old boy who opened fire at Evergreen High School in Colorado was radicalized by an extremist network. 2 students were wounded, one shot inside the school, the other outside. That suspect shot himself at the school and later died. Investigators haven't said how he was radicalized or by which group or whether he knew those victims. One victim was released from the hospital. Another remains in critical condition as the investigation continues.
As the nation continues to mark 24 years since the 9/11 attacks, one local educator is using his unique perspective as both a 911 first responder and a teacher to create a powerful learning experience for students. Mr. Eric Goodman, who has transitioned from his career in law enforcement to education, uses his personal experience to teach students about courage, sacrifice, and the importance of community during times of crisis. The 5th grade teacher at Charles Parker Academy Center in Charlotte was a ground zero responder. Thursday, he gave a presentation where students got the opportunity to reflect on the significance of September 11th through his own experience.
I hope these kids really kind of understand the importance of what it means to, when you get into a hard situation, right, that you can respond. And that doesn't necessarily have to be, a big, terrible situation, even something small, because some of these kids really struggle with certain things, that you can respond, you can find ways to persevere, and you can also rely on somebody else.
Mr. Goodman says sharing his story isn't just about recounting history, it's about helping young minds understand the deeper lessons of that today.
Family, friends, and community members shared their final goodbyes to civil rights icon and retired Major General Joseph McNeil yesterday. He died last week at the age of 83. In 1960, McNeil was one of 4 college students at North Carolina A&T State University who walked into a whites-only lunch counter in downtown Greensboro. When denied service, the 4 men refused to leave, and they stayed at that counter until the store closed. The peaceful protest led to desegregation at that same lunch counter later that year. Right now, all U.S. and North Carolina state flags are flying at half-staff to honor the victims of 9/11, their families, and the heroic first responders who gave their lives. This order comes from Governor Josh Stein, who says the flags will also fly at half-staff on Sunday to honor McNeil. President Trump is ordering flags stay at half-staff through Sunday to honor Charlie Kirk.
Coming up, Destiny has the latest on your morning commute.
Well, good morning, everybody. So the sun's already risen up. You can clearly see that in the upper right here. The sunrise time is at 7:05. That's the sunrise time that we have for tomorrow. But I want to show you something. And now, obviously, we know the sunrise time is always changing. But this time of the season, it's wacky where it goes. Now, daylight saving time coming to an end doesn't help. 7:05 today. Then by Halloween, it's up to 7:44, and then 2 days later, and then officially we're falling back to 6:48 on November 2nd, and then it's a slow climb back up that oddly, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we have the same sunrise time as we have right now, just because of that falling back nature, and then by Christmas Day, sun rising up at 7:30. So it's all over the place, and truly our sunrise time doesn't really change too much, only by about 2 to 5 minutes through December for the rest of January as well, and then it starts to yet again fall back as well. Our donkey of the day, that's right, not dog of the day today, Jack and Dexter, brought to us by Ashley. This was fun, and the date's going to have you smiling. Just like this, just like Jack and Dexter here, because it's going to be filled with sunshine. What a joy, just as these two donkeys are. Temperatures in the lower to the mid 70s to close out the morning, and then heading into the afternoon, the lower 80s by about 1 p.m., and then we should be rebounding to about 83 degrees for our high today. The average is 84, so pretty much where we should be for this time of the season. And then we can see our temperatures warming up very decently with just a few clouds for the afternoon. A gorgeous day. Carowinds officially starts tonight at 6 to midnight. It's going to be a really good feeling Carowinds forecast. I've shown this graphics for a few years now, and letting you know there's been times for the first time I've showed it for a season that I'm like, all right, starting off around 90, hot and humid and miserable, but no, it's actually a little bit more pleasant for this time. And then overnight tonight, falling back to the upper 50s. That's still about 5 degrees below normal for this time of the season. 1 degree cooler with wall-to-wall sunshine for tomorrow, and then a few more clouds in the mid 80s on Sunday. After this time frame, we are seeing a gradual climb for our highs and our lows. The lower to even the mid 60s through all of next week heading into the following weekend. By the way, this date, 22nd, we're talking about the first day of fall, y'all, and temperatures start to fall at that point as well, so good news there. And our top is mainly the mid 80s, borderline the upper 80s. Next Friday, we're up to back to 87, and we will see another downgrade back to the lower 80s. But the big change that I'm seeing in the forecast is this rain chance on Tuesday. It's all depending on a developing low off the shoreline. I'll have another look at that coming up over the next half hour. But let's get a traffic update with Destiny in the meantime.
Yeah, right now things are looking pretty good. We do have our usual congestion that pops up this time of the morning, so that's just something that, you know, we have to deal with on I-85 northbound, I-77 northbound as well. But thankfully, it is not too bad in terms of crashes on our interstates. Have not seen that as of late. We also have some good news here. An accident has cleared near East Meck High School. That is 2 lanes were blocked here, Monroe Road South at Conference Drive. And we still do have a little bit of a backup due to that. So even though it has cleared, just be aware that there are still backups, and this might affect you if you're, trying to get onto Monroe Road from Independence Boulevard. Going to just to the west here, Rama Road North at Charing Place, a little bit of a medium impact from this accident. And then we also have Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street, not impacting I-77 traffic, but just I-77 traffic nearby is also backed up as well. And then we have a disabled truck that has a lane blocked on North Graham Street at Atondo Avenue. And nearby there, Graham Street at Starita Road has a traffic light malfunction. So just drive safely out there.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. It's a Friday. Let's find out what's happening this weekend. A lot going on in the Charlotte area. One of the big events this weekend is Panda Fest, coming to Charlotte today through Sunday at Ballantyne's Backyard over on North Community House right here in Charlotte. Don't miss Panda Fest. A lot going on. More than 70 vendors and food trucks. Over 300 dishes to choose from China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and beyond. Arts and crafts and clothing, accessories, and artisan foods and music as well. It's a fun time for the whole family. It's today 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tickets and more information, log on to WCNC.com. There's a link right there. Don't miss it. Panda Fest is going on this weekend in Charlotte, and that's what's happening this weekend. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. We're going to take a quick break, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll have another update on weather and traffic, as well as the day's top headlines at 7:30.
Well, good morning, everybody. 61 degrees. We've been at that temperature for a few hours now around the Charlotte area, and then 45 degrees right around the Boone area. So it's a decent start to the day. Really a gorgeous looking sky that we see behind this camera here. But it's another copy and paste forecast. Guess what? 84 was the high yesterday. We have 83 today. It's not much of a difference. And overall, mostly sunny to a partly cloudy sky on and off throughout the afternoon. Here's what it looks like by the evening time. We're dropping down to the mid 60s by about 1 a.m. It's going to be up later on tonight for your Friday night. And then tomorrow, only a difference of a degree. I think we have wall-to-wall sunshine to starting off a little bit cooler both on Saturday and Sunday morning. Both days staying dry, though. Mid 80s on Sunday, really a picture-perfect weekend. Beyond that, our Jerry Hunt Super Center's 7-day forecast has the lower 80s as we have more clouds and a better chance for rain now Tuesday, Wednesday, heading into Thursday. Destiny, what's going on this morning in our traffic worlds?
Well, we do have some accidents that are popping up now that we're close to commute time. This is I-77 near Brookshire Freeway in the Uptown area this morning. Just some slow stop and go traffic that we're seeing just on our interstates this morning. So just be aware of that. Some accidents to talk about: Rama Road North at Sharing Place. That's in near Independence Boulevard, as well as Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street. Drive safely.
Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg. This morning, campus safety is the spotlight for many students after the shooting of Charlie Kirk.
WCNC Charlotte's Bria Smith spoke with local students to get their thoughts on campus safety during large events.
Students tell me here at UNC Charlotte, while they do feel relatively safe, they do understand that unfortunately violence can happen at any time.
With this all happening, we definitely need to increase focus on it just to ensure, because you never know nowadays.
For the most part, students describe the campus as safe with campus security and police in place.
Like in Scott Hall where I live, you have a guy doing like rounds like every 30 minutes basically, and he just knocks in there, says, "Hey, what's going on, you guys? Nothing much, just studying." He goes about his business. So I think it's pretty safe here on campus.
And I always see cops like walking around because I commute. So once I go to my car, I always see cops like right there where the decks are. So I feel very safe.
Students know not every act of violence can be eliminated, but feel confident in the campus's security, no matter how small or big the event.
We are a D1 football school, so with that, I think our security is already pretty good. And with public speakers and everything, it's hard to control a large crowd. As always, you know, you go to a Taylor Swift concert, it's hard to control a large crowd. But I would definitely say they do a good job.
UNC Charlotte does have several resources for student and campus safety, like building and campus evacuation plans. For more on that, visit our WCNC mobile app. At UNC Charlotte, Bria Smith, WCNC Charlotte.
A community in Hickory on edge this morning after a threat against a school. Police say a juvenile was identified as a suspect. Staff contacted them after a threat started circulating on social media. Although authorities say there is no ongoing danger, mental health advocates say the damage from a threat like this goes beyond security, and a recent violence of school campuses around the country can deeply impact their sense of safety.
Now kids have this numbness about themselves, numbness about going to school, and they just anticipate something happens.
Many schools are working to add counseling support, but advocates say the demand for mental health services is growing faster than resources.
7:32 now. This morning, several historically black colleges across the country have lifted lockdowns after canceling classes due to threats yesterday. Take a look at this video from Virginia State's campus after it went into lockdown. Threats impacted several other HBCUs, including Clark Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse, Alabama State, and Hampton. Reporter Brianna Fallon joined our team on WCNC Plus to describe the feeling on the Hampton University campus.
But they are definitely taking it seriously. I mean, we were on the campus and there are no students, pretty much. It's practically a ghost town out there. And they did have several security checkpoints out on the road kind of leading into the campus earlier this morning for only essential personnel to get through.
While South Carolina State University in Orangeburg didn't receive any threats, school leaders tell us the school will now be checking IDs for everyone who enters the campus. The university says it's a precautionary measure in response to the national political climate. Well, speaking of climate, let's check back in with Chris to find more about our forecast for this Friday. He's dancing, so that must mean there are good things in store.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Let's go, everybody. I got the party emoji. You know that's a good forecast when this guy's coming out because the great weather continues. It really has been an epic week. If you haven't been outside enjoying this beautiful, perfect weather, shame on you. Well, don't worry. We have a few more other chances. Today, this weekend, I also shouldn't say shame on you. I don't know what you got going on this week, but if you have a chance, seriously, get out there and enjoy it. Now, our highs are on the rise. It is going to feel a little bit hotter next week as early as really Sunday, where we're back into the mid-80s, but it's a lot of ups and downs because rain chances look to return on Tuesday. This is a big question mark, though, and I'll explain why. For right now, we're at 61 degrees in Charlotte. That's been the temperature for now 4 going on 5 hours now. It hasn't moved. 58 right around Hickory and then 57 around Lancaster. I checked to make sure everything's working. It's not stuck there. We're back to the lower 80s by the early afternoon and then only about a difference about a degree for our highs today. We're reaching around 83. Yesterday we were at 84. Day before that, 82. Well, guess what? By Saturday, we're at 82 again. So we've been really repeating the same day after day. And it feels the same as well. It's going to be borderline sticky, but all in all, still comfortable for this time in September. Get outside and enjoy it. Now, we're not talking about the fall-like weather that we had earlier where it was much cooler to start off the days. But this is still below normal, but above average good times. And speaking of, we have already first signs that fall is around the corner. Scare winds officially starting tonight at 6 o'clock till midnight. Temperatures dropping down to the upper 60s as the park is getting ready to close and the last scares are getting in. And then heading into the weekend, nothing too scary. Starting off with nothing big and chilly. We are dropped down to the mid to the upper 50s, kicking off your Saturday. A little bit cooler by a degree on Sunday, and then slowly climbing up through the 60s beyond that. Our weekend forecast is A-OK. I'm talking about sunshine, wall to wall almost, where you don't have too many clouds for your Saturday. And then we start to see a slight change in the forecast come Sunday. Here's what I'm talking about. We have no rain chances this weekend. Don't worry about it. Anything you do outside, you're good. You don't have to worry about any wet grills. Don't worry about it. The weather getting in the way of any outdoor plans. Monday, we see more clouds, but it's staying dry. The big question mark is, what is this system off the shore going to do on Tuesday? Let me show you what exactly is happening. For one, we have more moisture where it's going to start to feel more humid on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we have a little development right down here. All this rain that's happening over Florida, it's going to be a very wet forecast for southern Florida. Well, eventually it's going to work its way off towards the north. Watch what happens. This front moves off towards the east, but then we have an upper level low that starts to develop right in here. Now, oftentimes, if we had better conditions, if this had enough time, it could actually potentially turn into a big bad coastal low and even a chance to be a named storm. I don't think that's going to be the case in fruition, but I think what's going to happen is as it gets a little bit close to us, we are looking at an enhanced chance for rain on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It just depends on how long it's going to stick around and if it's going to stall out. And speaking of the tropics, we do have now a 40% chance over the next 7 days that this could be a named storm. We'll talk a little bit more about your tropical update, the changes that we see there, and also that rain chance for next week later on. But first, let's get over to Destiny to see if you have any changes in your morning commute.
Well, right now, things are just looking heavily congested across our interstates. I did want to talk about the fact that we don't have any accidents on our interstates this morning, but of course we do still have some accidents just within the Charlotte area. This one turned from yellow to orange in a split second. This is really the only accident where I'm seeing an actual impact in terms of the traffic flow. Rama Road North at Charing Place. We also have Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street. This is the only accident on the map right now that is from before the 7 o'clock hour. And then moving up north, a disabled truck lane blocked at North Graham Street at Atondo. Again, traffic flowing fine just right here at the intersection. So it's possible that that is just, not creating a big impact. A traffic light malfunction at North Graham Street at Starita Road. And then we also have, going back down south here, a newer accident at Arrowwood Road at Whitehall Park Drive. Again, nothing major, maybe a little bit of a delay there on Arrowwood Road, but nothing that's going to impact you greatly. We do have some heavy travel times, though, coming from Gastonia and Matthews.
All right, thank you, Destiny. Heads up for Caldwell County water customers. If you recently received bills that were way too high or showed no charge at all, the county is blaming a software glitch from its billing company. Corrected bills are now in the mail. If you've already paid the corrected amount online, you can ignore the new bill.
Well, coming up, an education battle in Winston-Salem. Why hundreds of teachers are wearing all black today. The time is now 7:40. This will be the last day for hundreds of teachers and administrators with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools.
Its Association of Educators say today it will stand in solidarity with those impacted by layoffs. WFMY News' Giselle Thomas shares how that will work.
Now, if you walk inside of a Winston-Salem Forsyth County school today, you may see a lot of black. That's because the Association of Educators is calling today Black Friday. Now, it's to mourn the over 240 staff who are impacted by its reduction in force plan. Now, today is the last day that selected assistant principals, teachers, and staff will work for the district or work in their current position. Now, the district says that school reassignments and contract changes will be finalized at the end of this week for a fresh start on Monday. I spoke to the Forsyth County Association of Educators President Jenny Easter, and she says families will also feel the loss, and her organization is standing in unity with those impacted.
Their contributions and dedication are always valued. We know what it takes to be not just a teacher, but an employee of a school district. We see their departure as something that we have to fight for.
Now, one county away, there's a Greensboro Career Expo happening in Greensboro. I spoke to Jasmine Beard, who's the founder of Ajoy Consulting LLC. She tells me that the skills of educators can be used throughout various fields due to the flexibility of communication, planning, and creativity.
Skills are very transferable. Sales roles are always needed in organizations. And then again, with everything that's going on in our society right now, lots of organizations need more advocates to help speak up for those whose voices are often ignored or go unheard.
Now, after today, the remaining staff in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools will use Monday as a transition day. This is to adjust their new roles in their schools. Keep in mind, parents, that school will resume the following Tuesday.
Giselle Thomas with that report. Today, family and friends will remember the life of a South Carolina elementary school teacher. Madison Finley died suddenly last Saturday at the age of 33. She was a fourth grade teacher at Pageland Elementary School and a teacher for more than a decade. Counselors have been at the school all week for students and staff. Finley's celebration of life is going to be held at 2 this afternoon at the Chapel of Burgess Funeral Home.
We'll keep it right here. A look at how App State and Boone is healing from Helene 1 year later. Well, nearly 1 year ago, I should say, Hurricane Helene disrupted the school year at App State University, but now the campus is thriving in ways that have surprised even university officials.
WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris spoke with the school's chancellor about the hurdles they faced during Helene and how they are looking forward this school year.
Hurricane Helene hit Boone with devastating force last fall, and the storm's flooding and mudslides forced Appalachian State to cancel classes for nearly 2 weeks.
Of course, brought a lot of debris, trees, limbs, unfortunately, houses, cars, livestock.
While several buildings experienced significant water damage, limiting access throughout campus, App State leaned on virtual practices to maintain student safety during recovery.
COVID taught us a lot. And one of those things was how we can support our students and our employees virtually.
Officials thankfully were able to restore power and communications just hours after the storm.
We have our own power plant and we have our own water plant and we're happy to have internet access.
But with fall classes on hold, staff encouraged unique lessons in efforts to keep students engaged while pouring into the community in need.
We were fortunate that our dining hall remained operational and we were able to open that up not just to our students and our faculty and staff, but to the community at large. 80,000 hot meals over the course of the 2 weeks, and our students were there with their brooms and were there with their serving and were there with their smiles and just their love for the people.
That lesson demonstrating the community's mountain strong spirit into this school year, showing students firsthand the cause and effect through support. Their efforts helped raise over $4 million for the App State Disaster Relief Fund.
We were able to give out those resources through our resource hub, and it wasn't the ability to fix everything, but it was just kind of a bridge funding that we could provide to folks that allowed them to kind of find a path.
Showcasing for students how when a university community comes together in the face of unprecedented challenges, they don't just recover, they emerge stronger than before.
And so there's no better example than this incredible experience of Hurricane Helene to create that bond for a lifetime of always carrying Appalachian State University with them in their hearts. And they will always remain a part of our hearts.
At Appalachian State, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
Hey, thanks a lot, Miles. Well, let's get right over to our tropical update. It's this time of the year that we really start to ramp things up, but it has been very slow over the last couple of weeks. It was actually 2 weeks ago, it was on a Friday, that I was saying, hey, there's this little low pressure system, potentially could be a 40 to 60% chance to turn into Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Well, it's 2 weeks later and that didn't come to fruition. So we're still waiting on Gabrielle, which is now behind schedule officially, and then Humberto. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to catch up for lost time that I would say within a 2 weeks time, we could have 2 to 3 named storms or at least investigations that are going to be active on the map. I think that over the next week, we are going to have at least Tropical Storm Gabrielle. The way things are starting to come to fruition, things are looking a little bit prettier as far as this storm system is starting to develop right off the coast of Africa. That is a solid little wave, and it's also not dealing with as much of that dust layer that we were dealing with before. So what we're in general going to see is the track of this is going to push its way. You can see that center of circulation by about next Thursday to be right at the end here, and then eventually we have a little bit of a curve back off towards the north and west. If I were to say where this is going, now if this continued its way off directly to the north and east or curve back out this way, and here I'll show you where that ends up, the first path brings us right to the Carolinas. But instead, I think we have too much of a curvature that's going to bring this thing back out to sea, so that's the better of the news. What you're dealing with right here is a high, it's also known as the Bermuda high, that likely is going to catch this system and steer it back out to sea. So likely this is going to be another fish storm regardless of its intensity, but that area of the orange, that's where you typically have the best chance for development. Erin was very similar to around this range where it quickly went from a Category 1 to a Category 5, but luckily does not look to affect too much land at this point. But that doesn't mean it couldn't change. I'm just showing you what exactly the pieces are on the board in the current flow, because really hurricane forecasting in general is just about where things are moving and if it's going to get caught up into certain things. But it can quickly change within a couple of days. Using Katrina as an example, Katrina was trending that it was going to move more into Mississippi or even the Florida Panhandle at one one point. Well, the atmospheric flow shifted further off towards the west, and that drove it into New Orleans. And I'm not calling anything Katrina-like in the near term, just using that as a good example that a couple of days can change the game completely. Also, compared to yesterday, we were looking at a whole lot of nothing for rain chances, barely anything in the middle of the week. Well, now we're starting to see a new piece on the board, and that's Monday heading into Tuesday. It looks like we have a chance for a low to develop right off the Carolina shoreline. That could bring more widespread rain for your Tuesday heading into Wednesday. So just letting you know, we're staying dry for the near term. For this weekend, everything is A-OK. It's rock star type forecast. By next week, we see a dip in the temperatures, more clouds, and a chance for rain. At very least, we will have more cloud cover and a cool down, but letting you know there's a better chance for some rain, which at this point it's starting to become dire because we are really too dry for this time in the season. Let's get over to Destiny. Anything new that we need to know about your morning commute?
Yeah, we've had a couple of developments. I-77 at Nations Ford, Tyvola. At those exits right now on the northbound side, it's one of the areas that we're just seeing the usual morning congestion. This is kind of widespread right now across South Charlotte. So just a heads up that you need to give yourself plenty of time if you're traveling up that way. We also see some developments with accidents in South Charlotte as well. This is out near Lake Wiley, South Tryon at Youngblood, Shopton Road. Right now we see just a huge backup right there. If you're in the Steel Creek area, you just want to heads up. South Tryon is a main thoroughfare to get into the Charlotte area, so give yourself plenty of time out that way. Arrowwood Road at Whitehall Park Drive. We weren't seeing many impacts from this because Whitehall Park is not a major road here, but the connector is affecting traffic on Arrowwood Road there. Moving on to the east a little bit, we've got Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street. Again, an accident from before 7 o'clock this morning. And then Rama Road North at Sharing Place is another accident with a bit of a hiccup there.
Well, a Pennsylvania man's idea for emotional support is a little on the wild side. He doesn't have a dog or cat. He chose an alligator. Reporter Andrew Havrunk found out how these two got connected.
I didn't think that I would actually own an alligator ever. It's been really kind of incredible.
Wesley Silva got his pet alligator 4 years ago from a neighbor who got her as a gift. When they weren't able to care for her anymore, they asked Silva if he'd be interested.
I did some research. I have kids of my own, and I didn't want to put anybody in jeopardy. And after some research, I was like, you know what? I'll take her.
Since then, they've been everywhere.
We've gone to restaurants. We've been to Denny's where she's a star there. She gets VIP treatment. We've been out to Bob Evans. We've been out to the Wagon Wheel in West Brownsville.
Silva says she always got a warm welcome. That is until nearly 2 weeks ago when some shoppers at the West Brownsville Walmart reached out to Channel 11 about an alligator shopping in Walmart with its owner.
It's been very positive, and I was really taken back by that.
While Silva says Jinsei Oshi is registered as an emotional support animal, it's not allowed at Walmart. After our story, Walmart sent this statement saying in part, quote, "We welcome service animals in our stores, but it is unacceptable to expose members of the public to potential danger. Accordingly, alligators are not permitted on our premises." Silva says he's upset, but understands. He says he'll continue taking her wherever she's welcome.
I just go with the flow.
Okay, so the gator is expected to grow to be between 6 and 8 feet long. Silva says he already has a plan for his alligator to be taken care of when he no longer can.
Now that's interesting. He said he took it with him to a couple of restaurants. Could you imagine being in a restaurant out enjoying a meal and you look over and there's someone with an alligator?
No, I can't. I can't, Lisa.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but stay right here with us on WCNC Plus. Another update on weather and traffic in just 2 minutes, as well as the day's top headlines at the top of the hour.
Good morning, everybody. Who's ready for the weekend? Boy, do we have a great forecast for you. Look at those Carolina blues through our Monroe camera. We have temperatures right now around the 62-degree point, 63 over in Charlotte, and 44 right around Boone. Right now we're looking right around App State there in that shot. Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous. Yesterday was at 84. Today we're at 83 degrees. So there's the difference there. Maybe just a difference of a few clouds from time to time. Nice gentle breeze, only about 7 to 12 miles per hour. Not really much to mention for the week and really the weekend in general until we get to about Tuesday, because we're staying dry. Perfect weather if you go to the Charlotte FC match on Saturday around 7:30. Mid 80s on Sunday and Monday, and then we have a dip in the temperatures with a better chance for rain and clouds Tuesday heading into Wednesday. Destiny, what do we need to know about the commute so far this morning?
It's definitely starting to get busy out there. We're seeing our usual congestion this morning, but so far still no accidents actually on the interstates themselves. This is I-77 northbound, the northbound side here at the Nations Ford Tyvola Road exits in that area of South Charlotte, so just be aware of that. Here are the most impactful accidents right now. North Tryon Street Graham at the I-85 connector, a bit of a tangle there. And then going down south, we've got South Tryon Street at Youngblood Road, Shopton Road West.
Good morning and happy Friday. Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8. I'm Megan Bragg in for Ben.
And I'm Lisa Washington. This morning, memorials growing for the Ukrainian woman murdered on Charlotte's light rail. Now, Republican leaders at North Carolina's Capitol announcing new legislation.
Yeah, in response to Irina Zaruska's murder, they plan to unveil the new bill later this month, potentially including restarting the death penalty. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane breaks down what else might be in this bill.
Yeah, good morning to you, Megan. Good morning, Lisa. A good Friday morning, everyone. As we were looking just a little while ago, we saw some security guards standing around that memorial that's been growing, as you said. This as state lawmakers are reviewing a number of things, including possible new requirements for those magistrates in the state. Those Republican leaders at the North Carolina General Assembly are responding to the fatal stabbing of 23-year-old Irina Zaruska on Charlotte's light rail system, now by proposing new legislation. During a news conference, Senate Leader Phil Berger and House Speaker Destin Hall announced their plans to introduce a bill package later this month, which they say would address what they call soft crime policies and focus on the state's justice system. Now, the leaders specifically cited Teresa Stokes, the magistrate who released Carlos Brown, who now faces state and federal charges in the murder of Zuruska. They are considering new guidelines and requirements for magistrates, including potentially requiring them to have law degrees. Among other proposals that they discussed were ending or reviewing the bail policy and restarting the death penalty in North Carolina. They also want to take a closer look at Charlotte and how it's spending its grant funding related to crime prevention.
I'm going to go through the entire budget for the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County to see where these funds are going, because ultimately we're dealing with a local government, really Mecklenburg County and city of Charlotte, two local governments that, in my opinion, have lost institutional control of their areas.
You know, families are hurting right now because of this series of attacks. And as we speak these hard truths, we must be clear about the cause, the rhetoric and soft on crime policies of the left.
And one of the phrases that's been bandied about is the cashless bail system, something that they've mentioned. So what is that? Well, Megan, you have the best way to explain it. The difference between a judge having the ability to actually let someone who has a non-violent offense out, but it's been conflated. So explain the cashless bail policy and the fact that North Carolina doesn't have one.
Yeah, Richard, and it is so confusing, and it's easy to say cashless bail, right? Because that's what it sounds like, cashless bail. But technically, it's not cashless bail, and that's because a lawyer described this to me and explained it to me for about an hour, actually. So it's really, there's a lot of caveats in there. But basically what it is the judge will get this person's crime that they did.
Okay.
And if it's a nonviolent crime, they can let them off on what they call a written appearance. So basically they have to sign something and say they promise to appear in court on their court date, but there is no cash that is required from them or anything like that. So
correct.
That is just one of the...
Tantamount to what's like an unsecured bond, correct?
Yes, there is, and an unsecured bond would be something that they might have to pay after. So there's 5 different options that judges can look at, is what was explained to me. So he was basically, Gary Monty was telling me it's not cashless bail because it's not like you have this person come in and then you don't have to pay cash. It's they take a look at the crime and if it was
depending on what that crime is, will depend which option they would explore.
Yes. But like you said, Richard, it's a lot to explain.
And of course, we'll continue to get you updates.
And under no cases it's cashless bail, correct? Yeah, I was just going to say, in no case is a cashless bond if a state has it or if anyone has a bond policy. A violent offense will never be eligible for something like that.
Right.
That's right. All right, Richard, thanks so much for that live report. Of course, we'll continue to talk much more about this because, as you say, it's very complicated and a number of people are interested in this now, especially with this light rail stabbing.
Right. And tonight, members are invited to gather in Marshall Park to honor Zuruska's life. The visual, organized by multiple different community action groups, starts at 6:30.
8:05. Now let's check back in with Chris to find out more about our forecast for this Friday and the weekend.
It's going to be great, just as we have over the last couple of days. Now let's get over to Destiny with traffic. Just joking, Destiny. I have a lot more to talk about. 7:05 was the sunrise time. The reason why I'm showing you this is I want to show you where our sunrise times are going. I've been doing this once per hour, did over on WCNC. Just thought it was interesting because our 7:05 sunrise time, of course, we know that we fall back on November 2nd, as we do each and every year. But on November 22nd, that is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, we have the same sunrise time at 7:05, and then by Christmas we're back to about 7:30, and then for Halloween is one of our later sunrise times that we have this time of year is at 7:44. So we see that constant change. That also means some darker bus stops going forward. It's all over the place, and our temperatures luckily not changing too much in the near term, but we also see a big drop off for our lows, especially over the next month now, officially up until about October 17th. We're going to lose 14 degrees off our average low. So get ready for some much cooler mornings, but it doesn't happen right away. Our highs right where we should be. Yesterday was at 84. Today's at 83. That is carbon to a T where we should be for this day in climatology for the 11th and 12th of September. And where we're going heading into the evening is actually a beautiful forecast. A meteorological fall officially began on September. That's when my friend Megan Bragg put out her fake pumpkins. So living it up, that's what I'm talking about, whoop whoop. And then you can see by the 15th, we see our average high drop down to 83. It quickly falls through October, and then by the time we get to November, we have to get used to the 60s. The reason why I'm showing you this is take advantage of the 80s, because before you know it, we'll blink, we'll be dealing with more of the 70s, which isn't a bad thing. So our scare winds forecast, so many times this time of the year, we're still rocking the 90s, and that hasn't been the case. The way things are shaping up, we might have already hit 90 for the last time this year, but I've been fooled before. I've said this literally in 2019, and the next thing you know is the end of September to October for the longest stretch of upper 90s that we've had this time of the year. So I won't write it into fruition because Mother Nature will be like, no, Chris, you said it too soon. But this is really good for the first scare winds forecast. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's kind of just right. So starting right around 80 degrees, not overly humid as well, and will be mostly clear, so you'll be able to see that starlight right as the park is shutting down. It also goes through the weekend as well. Tomorrow's great at Carowinds, by the way, through the day. That's where the kids can enjoy a little bit of trunk or treating. I brought JT to that before. They usually have a little foam bubble pit for the kids. It's awesome. Not so great if you don't have a change of clothes. Just saying, parents. Lower 80s tomorrow, and then we actually have a little bit of cloud cover additional for your Sunday. But for the near term, it's a great forecast. Then we start to get a little bit warmer and a little bit stickier by the middle of next week. Lows don't really change much, just ranging from 62 to 64. Our highs are all over the place, from the lower to the mid 80s. Looks like the hot spot's going to be next Friday, but the first day of fall, by the way, is September 22nd. We should be back to around 80 degrees, feeling fall-like. Yet again, good news. As for our best chances for rain, looks to be this coming Tuesday. I'm going to go a deeper dive into that, showing you the biggest change we've had in the forecast compared to what I've been talking about all week. But first, Destiny, what's going on right now? 8 o'clock is really up and down traffic-wise.
Yeah, it definitely is. We kind of haven't seen that much of a let up in terms of traffic flow this morning. Still continuing to look at I-77 because that is probably where we see the heaviest congestion this time of the morning, really just up and down, but especially south of Uptown. So just be aware of that. But following some new accidents, North Tryon Street, Graham Street at the I-85 connector here, this is where we're seeing just a big tangle of orange at one point, and then it was yellow. So hopefully it's letting up now that it's gone back to just yellow, but right now that is just still a problem this morning. Not too far away, new accident at East 36th Street East at the Plaza, so that's interfering with this intersection here at Shamrock as well as Matheson. Just a lot of congestion in that area. And then moving down south, this is another area where we've seen a long backup. This is out near Lake Wiley, South Tryon Street at Youngblood Road, Shopton Road West. So big backup right there. Just give yourself plenty of time if you're coming from Steel Creek. And then Arrowwood Road at Whitehall Park Drive, also in the same area of South Charlotte this morning, just a medium impact. Also going over here, Nations Ford Road at Hebron Street. This one has not let up since before 7 o'clock this morning. I continue to bring it up because even though it is an older accident, it is one that has just residual impacts in the area. Lots of traffic on Nations Ford Road to get off of I-77. Also have a disabled truck still with the lane blocked at North Graham Street at Atondo, but not seeing any huge impacts from this. Drive safely.
Destiny, thank you. 8:10 now. Coming up, the latest on a possible suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk and how thousands are remembering him across the country. 8:14 now, and we want to get to some breaking news. We're getting some new information into our newsroom. This is from NBC News. President Donald Trump now saying that a person is in custody linked to that manhunt. You know, we've been talking about the search for a suspect and the assassination of the conservative analyst Charlie Kirk. We've been watching this for quite some time now. But again, this morning, just within the last 4 minutes, getting news from President Donald Trump saying that a person was in custody linked to that manhunt. We have course, have been reporting this. The conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was 31, was shot and killed during an event at Utah Valley University earlier this week. It actually happened on Wednesday. Authorities are now saying that this was a targeted attack. We, of course, will continue to follow this. When we get new information, we will pass that along to you. The newest information as of right now, though, the president saying that a person is in custody linked to the manhunt, the search for the suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination. When we get more information, again, we will pass that along to you here on our streaming platform, WCNC Plus, as well as on our WCNC Charlotte mobile app. Megan?
Yeah, and Lisa, people across the nation continue to remember Charlie Kirk. This was a scene in Utah last night. Dozens of people lighting candles and standing up in Kirk's honor. Folks also gathered at Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix. Sean Rice talked to supporters who gathered in his memory.
I felt heartbroken and angry at the same time.
Richard and Liz Latiana in Arizona on vacation from New York, but the influential voice belonging to Charlie Kirk knew no state boundaries.
He said, I'm going to listen to the generation, that generation, the youth of today, who is our tomorrow, and let me listen to both sides.
That youth making their voice heard, standing in a moment of silence, praying over Kirk's memorial.
I think just his faith in Jesus is the biggest thing above all, that just really speaks volume above politics, above anything else. Jesus was the center of his life, and that was so prevalent and just really just an inspiration.
Rylan, Kendra, and McKenna, recent college graduates here in the Valley, the kind of group that Kirk spoke directly to on campuses all across the country.
It just feels so personal. Like, I never met Charlie, but it feels so deeply personal, and truly I attribute that to all that he stood for, to be a person. Like, he would show up.
Kirk's conservative voice, one of the largest in Arizona politics. This is a place he's called his home for the last 10 years, and it's where he created his nonprofit group, Turning Point USA. This morning, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs took our questions at an unrelated event in Phoenix. There was a lot of discussion around political violence and ways to stop it.
How do we calm the vitriol? I think there's average Americans, everyday Americans sitting at home today wondering, what can I do to prevent something like this from happening again to a person from either side of the aisle? Is there a message you would give to an average everyday Arizonan on this?
I think I've consistently said that that we don't solve problems in our democracy through violence. We solve it at the ballot box. And I can't speak for every Arizonan or American, but I know that as an elected leader, my responsibility is to do everything I can to work to tone down the rhetoric. And I think I would call on other elected leaders to do the same and set that example that Americans will follow.
So in just about an hour at 9 o'clock, they will have a press conference, state and federal officials, to talk about the potential suspect in custody. And we will be sure to be carrying that on our live Impact News on WCNC Plus. And as the nation continues to mark 24 years since the 9/11 attacks, one local educator is using his unique perspective as both a 911 first responder and a teacher to create a powerful learning experience for students. Mr. Eric Goodman, who has transitioned from his career in law enforcement to education, uses his personal experience to teach students about courage, sacrifice, and the importance of community during times of crisis. The 5th grade teacher at Charles Parker Academic Center in Charlotte was a ground zero responder. Thursday, he gave a presentation where students got the opportunity to reflect on the significance of September 11th through his experience.
I hope these kids really kind of understand the importance of what it means to, when you get into a hard situation, right, that you can respond. And that doesn't necessarily have to be, a big, terrible situation, even something small, because some of these kids really struggle with certain things, that you can respond, you can find ways to persevere, and you can also rely on somebody else.
Mr. Goodman says sharing his story isn't just about recounting history, it's about helping young minds understand the deeper lessons of that day.
A check of your morning commute and an update on the forecast when we come back.
Well, good morning, everybody. Another update on the rain. Nothing today. That's pretty much all we can say, at least heading into the weekend. Still going to be a nice little dry forecast, but we are starting to see some changes heading over the next 7 days. It's really about Tuesday, Wednesday that we're starting to see something creep in. A lot of rain offshore, and that eventually could work its way a little bit closer to home. So this isn't looking like a lot of rain over our next 7-day forecast. This is called the quantitative precipitation forecast, and you can see nothing through the weekend, but it's officially on Monday night. You could see a little disturbance, but it looks like the days that really stand out from all the rest are Tuesday and Tuesday night, Wednesday night also as well. But these days are a big deal compared to where we just were, where you had pretty much 7 days without even an inkling, a chance, a hint of rain. Our dew points also on the rise. They're jumping, they're jiving up to about the mid 60s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That means we're really going to be feeling that air surrounding us. But here's how it all goes down. For one, the whole reason why we've been so nice recently has been because of that high pressure system, multiple ones dancing around the area. That just keeps everything dry, but then oftentimes they can stall out and kind of put up the Heisman, blocking anything from moving on shore. That's exactly what's happening. We've had a stationary front that's been stuck to the south and to the southeast, so it's been a very active forecast down here in Florida. But this stationary front is going to set up constant rain chances for southern Florida and around Miami, so that's going to affect some games. We had a delay in the Panthers game versus Jacksonville because of a lightning delay. I think there could be some lightning delays for your Miami-New England game as well, if you're looking forward to watching that one. Our next 36 hours, here's the change. That low, that stationary front remains to the south, but another piece, an upper level low, starts to develop right off the shoreline, giving a good amount of rain through the weekend, but that's out to sea. Offshore. This is going to cloud things up a little bit more right along the South Carolina shoreline up into around the Wilmington area. But it's that area, low pressure, that is potentially going to bring us some rain heading up to the Charlotte area. That's why it's a much better chance for rain now that we're seeing on your Tuesday heading into Wednesday. It's going to cool us down, keeping us in the lower 80s for your Tuesday as Wednesday as well, as you can see here for our Jerry Hunt Super Center forecast. Let's get over to Destiny. What's going on?
Yeah, we're seeing heavy congestion across the traffic flow map here, especially on I-77, just up and down here in South Charlotte. But there's pretty much some spots of congestion on every interstate. But I want to talk particularly about Pineville on I-485. If you're headed from West Charlotte on the inner loop down to Pineville this morning, or hopping onto the interstate, just know that we have an overturned vehicle at I-45 inner loop at US 521. So at the Johnston Street exit here, backed up to NC 51 in Pineville. So just a heads up here, lots of red for folks who are traversing on I-485 in that area. North Tryon Street at Graham Street at the I-885 connector there. This has let up a little bit, but still a bit of a medium impact at that connector. And then we also have an accident in this same area of North Charlotte, Northeast Charlotte, I'd say, East 36th Street East at the Plaza. So you just want to drive safely this morning because it is getting busy out there. We'll be right back after this break.
Hey there, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy here. Who's ready for the weekend? It's going to be amazing. We have sunshine, 83 degrees around Charlotte, and then throughout the day today, just picking up a few more clouds by the afternoon. Our Jerry Hunt Super Senator 7-day forecast, lower 80s today and tomorrow, wall-to-wall sunshine for your Saturday, mid 80s on Sunday and Monday. Here's the change, a chance for rain Tuesday and Wednesday. That's where rain showers start to sneak in, cooling us back to the lower 80s before we see temperatures ramp up yet again, heading into the last days of fall and the last weekend of fall. Time's flying by. Traffic's flying as well. Destiny, let's get over to you. It's this time of the day that things are starting to shift and I'm starting to see some slowdowns, right?
Yeah, it's definitely getting to be slow traffic and stop and go traffic up and down I-77, especially on the northbound side. So just a heads up there. But we were also seeing our first accident of the morning on I-45 inner loop down near Pineville. So if we zoom in a little closer here, this is going to be an issue for folks on the inner loop headed from West Charlotte down to Pineville, especially I-45 inner loop at US 521, so Johnston. There's an overturned vehicle here, so it's definitely not a great situation. Traffic backed up all the way to NC 51, and it seems like it's even going further than that. So just not a great traffic morning if you're on the loop there this morning. Now going up north, we also have an accident on North Tryon Street, Graham Street at I-85 connector, and then also at East 36th Street East at the Plaza. I leave you with your drive times here. Join us on WCNC+.
You're streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Megan Bragg. We begin with breaking news from President Trump. The president saying he has a high degree of certainty that the man who authorities believe shot and killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk is in custody. Kirk was shot during a speaking event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday.
Now we are anticipating a special report from NBC News. Of course, when that begins, we will bring it right to you live. In fact, it's starting right now. Let's listen in.
45 minutes in this very building behind me, and we know that FBI Director Kash Patel will be in attendance. It was just hours ago, late last night, that authorities released new video that certainly contributed to bringing this person into custody. And in the president's interview, he said some things that were very telling that we're going to be hopefully following up on to gain some clarity, saying that someone close to this person of interest recognized them either from the images or the video that had been released, and then reached out to the father of that individual, who then in turn, according to the president now, convinced this person to join them, and they went to a U.S. Marshal. Now, that is how, if I'm hearing the president correctly, he's laying kind of the timeline of events here. And that would certainly be a best case scenario in that there was no resistance, especially, you know, from an armed standpoint, with this person being brought into custody. Authorities have been very tight-lipped, either from keeping their cards close to the vest or simply because they didn't know very much about this person, other than the images and the video that they shared. In this press conference, where we hope to learn more, we do know that state investigators will also be there. They've been working hand in hand with federal investigators since this shooting took place. In fact, I've been told that more than 100 law enforcement personnel have been kind of scouring the scene and the area and have been on the case to try to track down this person. But the governor making it very clear last night that the public was vital here. They needed the public's help, and it led them to conducting more than 200 interviews and fielding thousands of tips, and certainly all of those combined have led to, you know, this person now being brought into custody. The president saying that he believes with a high degree of certainty that this individual is the person who fired that fatal shot, killing Charlie Kirk in broad daylight, with thousands of witnesses in attendance as he visited this campus, Utah Valley University, the first stop in what was supposed to be a nationwide tour. Now, earlier investigators had painted a grim timeline from surveillance footage where they spotted this individual arrive on campus at 11:52 a.m. and then using other camera angles, they were able to follow this person through stairwells and up onto a roof, where they say he stretched out in a prone position, and then at around 12:20, just a few minutes after Charlie Kirk began fielding questions from the crowd, they say he fired a single fatal shot that struck Kirk in front of the crowd. Now, we do know that Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital, but passed away soon after. As for the next steps of the person who pulled the trigger, that video showed them leaping off the building, and that was one of the videos released late last night. Guys?
And Morgan, it seems like one of the videos that made a big difference, knowing that somebody who seems to be familiar with the suspect is actually who alerted authorities. Morgan Chesky in Utah for us. Thank you so much. I want to bring in our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom has been all over this. You actually have some new information for us this morning.
Yeah, Savannah. So it is, as authorities described, an individual in their early 20s, 22 years old, from Utah, the person that is now in custody, believed to be the person who is the suspect. This individual, apparently a family member, saw the photos that have been put out there, the same photos that we're looking at right now, saw those photos, confronted their son, and then called police. At that point, he was taken into custody, and right now is in the process of, they're obviously trying to talk to him. We don't know if they're talking to him, but to recap again, this suspect in the early 20s, 22 years old, from Utah, is in custody right now, believed to be the suspect after a family member saw the photos that we've been looking at now for the last 24 hours or so, confronted their son and said, look, effectively, is this you? And at that point, there's a point where he's turned turned into police. And that's where the investigation stands. I think soon we'll be able to report to you a name on this individual. Obviously, we're in the process of starting to pour over social media accounts, LinkedIn pages, all that type of stuff to try and determine if anything's been posted by this person over the last several days, anything that could point to a motive. Sometimes people leave writings behind. Rarely they leave a manifesto behind. That'll all be part of the investigation. But to confirm the news that the President of the United States has said himself, just in the last 20 minutes or so, it appears there's been obviously a major breakthrough here.
Absolutely. Tom Winter confirming that news for us. Again, an announcement that the president had made just a moment ago on Fox News. There is now a suspect in custody. New details there from our Tom Winter in his early 20s and turned in by someone who actually knew him. That information coming, of course, after that video and photos were put out of a suspect, a person of interest here. There's much more coverage ahead on our streaming channel, NBC News Now, and online at NBCnews.com.
And you've been watching that special report from NBC News. Again, the president saying he has a high degree of certainty that the man who authorities believe shot and killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk is now in custody. We know that there's supposed to be a news conference this morning at 9 o'clock, just about 25 minutes from now. Kirk, of course, was shot during a speaking event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday. We, of course, will bring that to you live when it does happen.
And this morning, campus safety is in the spotlight for many students after that shocking shooting. WCNC Charlotte's Bria Smith spoke with local students to get their thoughts on campus safety during these large events.
Students tell me here at UNC Charlotte, while they do feel relatively safe, they do understand that unfortunately violence can happen at any time.
With this all happening, we definitely need to increase focus on it just to ensure, because you never know nowadays.
For the most part, students describe the campus as safe with campus security and police in place.
Like in Scott Hall where I live, you have a guy doing like rounds like every 30 minutes basically, and he just knocks in there, says, "Hey, what's going on, you guys? Nothing much, just studying." He goes about his business. So I think it's pretty safe here on campus.
And I always see cops like walking around because I commute, so once I go to my car, I always see cops like right there where the decks are, so I feel very safe.
Students know not every act of violence can be eliminated, but feel confident in the campus's security, no matter how small or big the event.
We are a D1 football school, so with that, I think our security is already pretty good. And with public speakers and everything, it's hard to control a large crowd. As always, you know, you go to a Taylor Swift concert, it's hard to control a large crowd. But I would definitely say they do a good job.
UNC Charlotte does have several resources for student and campus safety, like building and campus evacuation plans. For more on that, visit our WCNC mobile app. At UNC Charlotte, Bria Smith, WCNC Charlotte.
A community in Hickory on edge this morning after a threat against a school. Police say a juvenile was identified as the suspect. Staff contacted them after a threat started circulating on social media. Although authorities say there is no ongoing danger, mental health advocates say the damage from a threat like this goes beyond security, and recent acts of violence on school campuses around the country can deeply impact their sense of safety.
Now kids have this numbness about themselves, numbness about going to school, and they just anticipate something happens.
Many schools are working to add counseling support, but advocates say the demand for mental health services is growing faster than resources.
This morning, several historically black colleges across the country have lifted lockdowns after canceling classes due to threats received yesterday. This is video from Virginia State's campus after it went on lockdown. Those threats impacted several HBCUs, including Clark Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse, Alabama State, and Hampton. Reporter Brianna Fallon joined our team here on WCNC Plus to describe the feeling on the Hampton University campus.
But they are definitely taking it seriously. I mean, we were on the campus and there are no students pretty much. It's practically a ghost town out there. And they did have several security checkpoints out on the road kind of leading into the campus earlier this morning for only essential personnel to get through.
All right, real quick. Wait, I'm supposed to be doing weather here. Why am I showing you all these kittens? Well, this is actually a very important announcement. Is that what we're looking at right here is actually a special adoption where the adoption fees have been waived in recent days. One of our producers who used to work here, Anna Brown, reached out to me and just said sincerely that the Animal Care and Controls Communication wanted to do an outreach here, just letting you know that there's a bunch of cats here in the Charlotte area that desperately need adopting. So this is City of Charlotte right here, Animal Care and Control. There are so many kittens that are available for adoption. So on Tuesday, there were 139 cats that were currently up for adoption, mainly all these kittens. Well, 49 adoptions have happened over the last 2 days. But we're letting you know that there's still going to be that fee waived for any adoptions of these adorable kittens that you're seeing here through Sunday. So currently they have, I guess, 268 cats and kittens, so 169 kittens, 99 cats ready for adoption and pre-adoption, and just look at that. So if you were thinking about doing this, I just wanted to give a PSA for you and a little dose of cuteness that there are a bunch of cats that desperately need homes, and hopefully that maybe you can be one of the people watching here on WCNC Plus to help out these kittens. Absolutely adorable cats. I have so many videos that I could show you. Maybe I just talk about that instead of the weather, because guess what? It's absolutely gorgeous. 63 degrees. We have officially changed our temperature after being at 61 for about 4 to 5 hours. And our dew points are also sitting pretty in a good temperature range as well. Feeling like the absolute air temperature about 83 by the time you get about 4 p.m. That means that we have no heat index. And we're really not going to switch over to that until a little bit later on in the forecast. I'm talking about Tuesday, Wednesday. The things kind of flip the script, feeling a little bit more summer-like. But in the meantime, still feeling great. Pretty close to where we should be, though, for our high temperatures. Should be at 84. We're at 83. Look at those Carolina blues off in the distance. Picking up a few clouds, I think, as we head into the afternoon, and then they'll erode for a sunny end of the day. And today's forecast compared to the last ones really splitting the difference between your Wednesday and Thursday. 83 today. We were at 82, 84, but nothing compared to what we had on Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday, we were rocking 77, 76, where it truly felt fall-like. But fall-like will be here before you know it. Scarowind's forecast, yep, it's back. Temperatures will be right around 80 degrees by the time we're kicking off that scary fun. It goes from 6 till midnight today, but then tomorrow is pretty much the entirety of the day. I believe it's from 11 until close around midnight, and then it's a little bit shorter hours for your Sunday. But tomorrow's really great for the kids, though, because you're talking about the younger kids who maybe don't want all that scary activity will be able to get out and enjoy it. So our weekend forecast, sitting pretty. I really like where we're going. Looking at our 7-day forecast by our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast, we have lower to the mid 80s, really dry forecast, picking up clouds for your Monday, and then the lower 80s on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's going to give a much better chance for rain. So next time I talk to you, I'm going to show you a little more detailed look on why this changed so much and kind of the two scenarios that we could see play out. Regardless, once you get to Tuesday, Wednesday, it will be cooler, it will be cloudier, and we'll feel a whole lot more humid compared to what we have for this weekend, which is just absolutely, chef's kiss, gorgeous. Destiny, how's traffic looking since the last time we talked?
Yeah, traffic is still pretty heavy this morning across the map. Continuing to look at I-77 because this is a problem this time of the morning, but it looks like it's letting up a little bit. Still a little heavy though at that spot that I showed you on the cameras, and that is near, Nations Ford Road, Tyvola, as you're crossing northbound in South Charlotte this morning. Also seeing heavy traffic in Gastonia on I-85 northbound, but no accidents there thus far this morning. The big focus area has really been this accident on I-85 Interloop, an overturned vehicle here at Johnston, that's exit 65, backed up to NC 51 and a little bit beyond that here near Pineville. So just a heads up this morning if you are traversing in Pineville or headed to Pineville. Also want to let you know about this accident, East 36th Street East at the Plaza, and then up north, this one's new, Gibbon Road at Nevin Place Drive.
All right, heads up for Caldwell County water customers. If you recently received bills that were way too high or didn't have a charge at all, the county is blaming a software glitch from its billing company. Corrected bills are now in the mail. If you already paid the correct amount online, ignore the new bill.
Coming up, an education battle in Winston-Salem. Why hundreds of teachers are wearing all black today. 8:47 now. Of course, we are following that developing news this morning regarding the search for a suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We heard the president this morning say that they are with high certainty. He believes that that suspect is in custody. According to NBC News, there is going to be a news conference in about 13 minutes at 9 o'clock this morning, where we're expected to hear from the FBI as well as some Utah state officials. If that does happen, we will bring it to you live right here on WCNC Plus. Other news today, will be the last day for hundreds of teachers and administrators with Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools.
Its Association of Educators say today it will stand in solidarity for those impacted by layoffs. WFMY's News' Giselle Thomas shares how that will work.
Now, if you walk inside of a Winston-Salem Forsyth County school today, you may see a lot of black. That's because the Association of Educators is calling today Black Friday. Now, it's to mourn the over 240 staff who are impacted by its reduction in force plan. Now, today is the last day that selected assistant principals, teachers, and staff will work for the district or work in their current position. Now, the district says that school reassignments and contract changes will be finalized at the end of this week for a fresh start on Monday. I spoke to the Forsyth County Association of Educators President Jenny Easter, and she says families will also feel the loss, and her organization is standing in unity with those impacted.
Their contributions and dedication are always valued. We know what it takes to be not just a teacher, but an employee of a school district. We see their departure as something that we have to fight for.
Now, one county away, there's a Greensboro Career Expo happening in Greensboro. I spoke to Jasmine Beard, who's the founder of Ajoy Consulting LLC. She tells me that the skills of educators can be used throughout various fields due to the flexibility of communication, planning, and creativity.
Skills are very transferable. Sales roles are always needed in organizations. And then again, with everything that's going on in our society right now, lots of organizations need more advocates to help speak up for those whose voices are often ignored or go unheard.
Now, after today, the remaining staff in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools will use Monday as a transition day. This is to adjust their new roles in their schools. Keep in mind, parents, that school will resume the following Tuesday.
Giselle Thomas with that report. It is time for us to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. Artificial intelligence is growing so fast, it is straining the nation's power supply. Now, oil field service companies are finding new business and keeping AI's lights on. Big tech's explosion in AI is creating a power problem, and some oil field service companies are stepping in to help. Let's connect the dots. AI data centers need an enormous amount of electricity, and traditional utilities can't always keep up. Now, oil field service firms that already run turbines and generators for fracking are pivoting, supplying off-grid power to tech companies. These setups use gas-fueled power units that can be built and switched on in 12 to 30 months, much faster than large utility-scale plants, which often take 5 to 7 years. Much of this power is fossil fuel-based natural gas, which raises concerns about pollution and climate impact. These off-grid solutions may be temporary. Once grid power or cleaner energy becomes feasible, tech firms might shift away. For now, it is providing new business for companies supplying the power and faster, more reliable speeds for AI firms, a shift that could reshape both the energy and tech sectors for years to come. And that's connecting the dots.
Coming up, a check of your Friday forecast.
One last look at your weather forecast, quick and easy. Here it is. We have the lower 80s, sunshine most of the day, gorgeous day just like yesterday. Wall-to-wall sunshine, lower 80s for your Saturday, mid 80s warming up on Sunday, but then here comes the changes. Rainfall chances really escalate starting heading into your Tuesday. Still question about where this system's going to set up, but a better chance for clouds and some rain. It's also going to be feeling a lot more humid Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can see for our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, lower to the mid 80s, cooler because of that rain chance Tuesday, Wednesday, warming back up for the last days of summer. It's almost over. Crazy to see this season almost done. Let's get over to Destiny Richard to see what's going on for your morning commute. Up and down, just like my 7-day.
Yeah, it's definitely improved on I-77 and I-85, not so much on I-485 out near Pineville this morning. So we still have an overturned vehicle on I-45 inner loop at Johnston, traffic backed up to NC-51 and a little bit beyond that as well. We also have an accident at Nations Ford Road at I-45. Not much impact here, but just a heads up, it is causing a little bit of backups in the area, in the vicinity, but not at the intersection itself. East 36th Street East at the Plaza. This is an accident that's been hanging around. We also have North Tryon Street at Mallard Creek Church Road and Harris Boulevard at North Tryon Street. I'll send it back to you, ladies.
Destiny, thanks so much. We are going to take a quick break right now, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll have another update of weather and traffic in just 2 minutes. And then at 9 o'clock, our own Jane Monreal takes over from our live news impact studio. We're going to have the latest on the developments this morning surrounding the search for a suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination. We're hearing from President Trump saying the suspected shooter is in custody.
Who's ready for the weekend? I know Larry Sprinkle is. He's right over there. 83 degrees today. We have a beautiful blue sky off in the distance, and most are just picking up a few clouds here and there. All in all, a mostly sunny one. For our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, lower 80s over the next couple of days. Tomorrow might even be wall-to-wall sunshine, barely a cloud in the sky. Now you will see some clouds here and there, but more of a clear sky than anything. And then a mostly sunny one with a mid-80 temperature range for your Sunday. Absolutely picture perfect. Clouds increase on Monday, and that actually leads to our next chance for rain Tuesday into Wednesday. Destiny, take it away for another look at traffic.
Yeah, things have improved greatly on I-85 northbound, I-77 up and down in South Charlotte. Great news there as we approach 9 o'clock, but we do have a problem here. Overturned vehicle on I-45 inner loop at Johnston, backed up to NC-51. So if you're headed to Pineville or through Pineville on the inner loop, just be aware of that this morning. Drive safely on your Friday.